Welcome back to Retirement Coffee Talk with Sharice Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. All right, a lot of us go into retirement with a 401k. And one of the things about 401ks is there's not a whole lot of rules there. You just put money in, it grows, hopefully, and then Uncle Sam comes by at about 73 years old and says, okay, time for me to get my cut. So we talk all the time on this show about not using Uncle Sam's plan, converting money over, using that money, all that. Don't wait till 73. But you know how many people do that? According to JP Morgan, 80% of us don't touch our 401k until Uncle Sam tells us to take the money out.
That's a huge number, Randy.
That's
80%.
nuts.
Wow. I didn't realize it was that big of a number.
It's a huge number. And I mean, I talk to Sharice, I talk to other financial advisors, and there's a lot of different opinion out there. Some people say take part of it and move it over. Some people say take all of it and move it over. Some people say you got to get this done in your 50s because it doesn't help you later. I hear people say you could do it in your 70s and you'll be fine. There's so much opinion, Sharice.
You know what? There is so much darn opinion. And you know what these employers should be doing? They should be bringing people in talking about what's next, what to do. Your RMD phase of life is coming. Because if you're 40 and 50, you're like, oh, I don't really care about this stuff right now. Turning the channel. But when you're 60 and 70, all of a sudden you're tuned in and you should have already been learning about it before you left those double doors at your employer's office. So I wish our communities and the employers would do a better job of having somebody come in and do like an outreach a day of or a couple hours during lunch where they sponsor the lunches and teach you about, you're about to get this 401k. And now Uncle Sam's your partner. What should you be considering over the next 5 years? If you're retiring in 5 years or if you're retiring in a year, what is the next game plan? What do I need to do with that money? How can I be in a more tax efficient strategy are the things I can implement now? But there's really nothing out there like that. And this is why I have a job, because people retire and are like, what do I do now? And they hear my show and they didn't know they had to do anything, but you do need to start considering some things. And so this is why I guess there's so many people that aren't touching it till, they're 73 when they're forced to pull it out. When you're very well working with your employer, you could be actually doing internal rollovers from your 401ks to your Roths. Your contributions to your 401k, you can stop contributing to your 401k and say, hey, I want to put it in a Roth. Hey, and by the way, the match you give me, typically, it always goes into the 401k. You can say, hey, I wanted to go into the Roth 401k. And for people who are listening, it's like, what is she talking about? What is a Roth 401k? What is this? So a Roth IRA, Roth 401k, all dollars that go into it, you've paid the taxes on it. You don't get the tax write-off, but all the growth inside of it, plus what you put in it, is tax-free in your future, which is the goal to keep you in a lower tax bracket in the future or a zero tax bracket. How amazing would that be? And so dialing into, what do we do now? If you're 60, if you're 55, if you're 50, you can do things now that are very neat that you couldn't do 5 years ago. And if you're in retirement, boy, oh boy, let's get going. If you're 65, especially, you just retired, you have 8 years for us to play the Uncle Sam game and try to keep as much money in our pocket up until that point. And so I believe that it's so important to really work on that tax strategy, because once you turn 73, it is hard for me to convey and show you the math on why it's important to roll IRAs over to a Roth now, because now you're forced to pull money out, and to even consider rolling IRAs over to a Roth, you got to put more in. That means you got to pay more taxes. And so it's not a friendly thing. So we like to try to capture people either the day before you turn 73, 5 years before. If I could get you 10 years before, oh my gosh, we can do so much with you.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Coffee Talk podcast. If you have questions or would like to begin the process of building a tailored retirement plan, call Zinnia Wealth at 833-368-3680 or find us online at zinniawealth.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, a registered investment advisor. The firm only conducts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded from registration requirements. Registration is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. Insurance products are offered through Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC, Florida license L078655, and Sharice Rivers, Florida license P037744. Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, and Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC are affiliated entities. The information presented is believed to be current. It should not be viewed as personalized investment advice. All expressions of opinion reflect the judgment of the presenter on the date of the podcast and are subject to change. The information presented is not an offer to buy or sell or a solicitation of any offer to buy or sell any of the securities discussed. You should consult with a professional advisor before implementing any of the strategies discussed. Any legal or tax information provided in this podcast is general in nature. Always consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation. Any client experience discussed on this show are unique to that client. Annuity and life insurance guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. If you withdraw money from or surrender your contract within a certain time after investing, the insurance company may assess a surrender charge. Withdrawals may be subject to tax penalties and income taxes. Persons selling annuities or other insurance products receive compensation for these transactions. These commissions are separate and distinct from fees charged for advisory services. Insurance products also contain additional fees and expenses. Social Security rules and regulations are subject to change at any time. Always consult with your local Social Security office before acting upon any information provided herein. References to specific investments should not be construed as being past specific recommendations. The returns for various indices discussed in this podcast do not represent the performance of the firm or any of its advisory clients. Returns do not reflect the impact that advisory fees will have on an investment. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. All investment strategies have potential for profit or loss. Different types of investments involve higher and lower levels of risk. There is no guarantee that a specific investment strategy will be suitable or profitable for an investor's portfolio. Historical performance returns for investment indexes and/or categories usually do not deduct transaction and/or custodial charges or advisory fees, which would decrease historical performance results. There are no guarantees that a portfolio will match or outperform a specific benchmark. Investments in fixed income products are subject to liquidity risk, market risk, index rate risk, credit risk, inflation risk, purchasing power risk, and taxation risk. Because bond prices fluctuate continually, their yields change constantly.